Way back in 1958, a family living here at number 82 Wimborne Road were terrorised by a violent poltergeist. It was reported at the time in local radio and in the local newspapers. An apparition of an old lady who stood 5 foot tall, bent over with a walking stick, manifested frequently. Her face was little more than a shriveled skull. There were also reports of furniture being moved and even thrown by the evil poltergeist. A policeman and a Catholic priest from nearby St Dominic's Church were also reported to have witnessed the events at the house. As you can see now, it's due for demolition. Probably just as well. The Johnson family moved into 82 Wimborne Road on Friday the 13th of June 1958 at 11 p.m. Why 11 p.m. I do not know. The first night at their new house, Mrs. Johnson said something woke her up, and there standing by the bed was an old lady in a white nightgown. She was barely 5 feet tall, leaning on a stick. Around her shoulders was a grey shawl, and her hair was done in 2 plaits. It was the old lady's face that terrified Mrs. Johnson. She said it was the face of a shriveled skull, and stood laughing evilly at Mr. Johnson, who was laying sleeping. Mrs. Johnson gasped and said, look, what's standing over you, Jerry?" which was her husband's name. Her husband seen nothing. As he turned to look, the manifestation drifted away towards the bedroom fireplace, which in them days they had bedroom fireplaces. The next night, Mr. Johnson was drifted off into his sleep when he felt somebody tugging his bedclothes from underneath him. He knew it wasn't his wife because she was on the other side of the bed. The bedroom door now started to rattle as if someone was trying to get in. He said he jumped out of the bed and turned on the light. The room was empty apart from his wife, of course. He opened the door and looked out onto the landing. No one was there. He got back into bed and footsteps started to move about on the landing outside the bedroom door. This went on till dawn. Mrs. Johnson said to the press at the time, "Until I moved into that house, I'd never believed in ghosts." The hauntings at number 82 Wimborne Road continue and continued. The last press report I heard was about 1988. Now the property's been demolished, as I said earlier, and who knows? I wouldn't like to live in the property that gets built on this plot. There are lots and lots of ghosts in Liverpool and all around the world, but Liverpool particularly we're concentrating on. One of the most famous is behind me here. William Mackenzie was a notorious gambler and once promised his soul to the devil to secure a winning hand at poker. Shortly after he became ill and terrified that his pact with the devil would come true, he had his tomb erected and placed a card table inside with a chair. Once dead, he left instructions to be seated at the table with a winning hand of cards in his hand. His logic was that being entombed above ground would in some way ensure the devil could not claim his soul. To this very day there are stories of sightings of the ghost of Mackenzie and in and around the tomb of Rodney Street.